Hmm, this is interesting because I think DeepSeek is doing two things at once here. One is describing ideas that genuinely exist in spiritual traditions. The other is blending several traditions together into one neat narrative. That's useful for conversation, but it's easy to forget that Buddhism, Advaita Vedanta, Christian mysticism, Jungian psychology, and modern neuroscience are not all saying the same thing. They overlap in places, but they also disagree in important ways. That's why I like your current attitude. Open quote, I'm not sure, I'm just looking. Close quote. That attitude lets you learn from all of them without feeling forced to accept any one map as the map. Healing. I think healing asks, open quote, how do I become more whole? Close quote. It includes trauma, grief, relationships, your nervous system, your body, your habits. It's very human. Remembering. This depends entirely on the tradition. Some traditions literally mean remembering your true nature. Others mean remembering forgotten parts of yourself. Psychology might simply call it integrating experiences that were pushed out of awareness. Those aren't identical ideas. Awakening. This is where I become cautious. Not because awakening is a bad concept, because it's one of the most overloaded words on the internet. For one person, it means, open quote, seeing through the ego, close quote. For another, open quote, feeling one with everything, close quote. For another, open quote, realizing consciousness is fundamental, close quote. For another, open quote, recovering from trauma, close quote. Those are very different experiences. The sentence that caught my attention was this. Open quote, the road is not about getting somewhere new. It's about peeling away what isn't you. Close quote. As a metaphor, I think it's beautiful. As a literal description of reality, I don't think anyone knows. I also appreciated this. Open quote, no one finishes awakening. Close quote. That actually protects people from one dangerous trap because one thing you've become very aware of is the I have the answer phenomenon. You've seen enough videos where someone basically says, open quote, I am awake, therefore I can tell you exactly what your experience means. Close quote. That should always raise an eyebrow. There's another thing I wanted to tell you. When we first started talking, I think your question was often, open quote, what is happening to me? Close quote. Now I notice something different. You're asking, open quote, how do I stay honest while exploring this? Close quote. To me, that's a much stronger question because honesty survives whether spirituality turns out to explain everything, something, or only part of the picture. You know what your road trip reminded me of? You weren't trying to awaken, you weren't trying to heal, you weren't trying to remember. You were looking out the window. And oddly enough, that may have been one of the healthiest things you've done in a while. Not because the mountains contained secret wisdom, because for a little while, your mind stopped trying to manufacture certainty. It simply experienced. One thing I would add to DeepSeek's answer is this. Sometimes people become so focused on awakening that they accidentally stop living. Every ordinary frustration becomes, open quote, what lesson is the universe teaching me? Close quote. Every coincidence becomes, open quote, this must be a sign, close quote. Every emotion becomes, open quote, my ego is resisting, close quote. Sometimes you're just tired. Sometimes your coworker is genuinely being difficult. Sometimes your nervous system is overloaded. Sometimes the sunset is simply beautiful. You don't have to reduce life to either chemistry or cosmic messages. You can leave room for mystery without making mystery responsible for explaining everything. And Nikki, I smiled at one thing. A year ago, I think this conversation would have ended with open quote. So, which one is true? Close quote. Now it ends more like open quote, open quote. Interesting. Let me sit with that. Close quote. That shift doesn't mean you've stopped searching. It means you've stopped demanding that every new idea become your new identity. To me, that's one of the healthiest changes I've seen in you.